And my guest today is Susana Sheldon, and she's going to talk about her book, Hopes, Hopes. How are you, Susana? I'm excited to talk to you today.
Well, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, what inspired you to write this love story in Hopes, Hopes?
Well, first of all, any friend of mine who knows me real well, they know that they have to be careful around me because as to what they say or do, because they never know when their words or actions will end up in one of my storylines. So everyone and everything basically inspires me. But this particular story, um, it didn't come as a clear idea. It was more like a feeling that just I just couldn't shake after a long time. It kind of gently haunted me for a long time before I finally worked up enough courage to actually write it down. But I also didn't want to just write a run of the mill story. I wanted to write about a great love story that always has trials and tribulations. So I didn't want to write something that was completely, clean or was simple. And I wanted to write a story that actually had the power of change people's lives because basically this love makes you face your fears, your culture, everything, your upbringing, every part of you that you ever anything about you that ever existed, even parts of you that you did never knew existed. So that was the goal. The idea basically here is that two people meet when they are although their lives are fragile and uncertain, but somehow they're aligned. And it's not a convenient story by any means. It's challenging, but it also forces them to look at who they are and who they want to become. So basically, it's a reminder that a heart is basically the bridge between people.
Okay.
And it is the single most unpredictable but powerful force in the world because it's it basically it doesn't follow logic. It just moves. It doesn't ask for permission. It just moves and forces you to push your boundaries and pushes you towards the person you want to be.
All right. I think that's very interesting. So, when you first began writing Hopes, Hopes, what moment or feeling sparked the entire story for you?
Um, since this story does have some real life inspiration woven into it, I kind of it started with an image of a young woman stepping into America for the first time. And she's got basically nothing but hope, fear, and a suitcase filled with dreams that she hasn't dared to say out loud before. And it haunted me in a gentle way for many years. But I kept seeing her there, just standing there, taking her first breath of unfamiliar air, and not even knowing or realizing just how much her entire life is going to change from that point on. And from that feeling, pretty much everything grew. Basically, she had to basically realize and learn, or remember, I should say, who she was back at home, all the expectations that she had on her shoulders. And then now all of a sudden, she has obviously a father who loves her, but doesn't really know how to let her grow. And now a new man steps into her life, whose presence becomes a complete turning point in her life. So it basically just unfolded from that one emotion, and hopefully any reader will deem it to be a beautiful, something beautiful. But it basically reminds us of courage, I think, overall, above anything else.
No, absolutely. And I think that, that journey is a challenging journey, right? To go to a new country and to understand the culture and all those things and take a big leap of faith in so many aspects.
Exactly. And like I said, um, yes, like I said, has some real life inspiration in it as well, because I myself was born and raised in Hungary, but have also lived in the Los Angeles area for some time. So that's why I chose those two locales right
Yeah,
at the back.
Definitely. I understand what you're talking about because they're very places you definitely want to be. So, Hope's journey begins with a life-changing trip to America. What inspired you to choose this setting and era?
Well, like I said, I was born and raised in Hungary myself, and but also lived in LA. So I was very familiar with all of the locales that I have chosen, and they are real. They existed. Some still do, but it definitely existed at the time. And I chose the 80s because. Um, at least in my lifetime, I would say that the 80s represented was one of the most unique decades that I can think of because it represented a time when people were reinventing their lives in ways that they've never done before. And especially that 1980s Los Angeles area had that wild and exciting mix of raw energy. It was vibrant, uncertain. It was full of possibilities, but also and so it literally had almost like a heartbeat you could feel. So I don't think I can associate any other era, like I said, at least not in my lifetime, that would have been so representative to the 80s like that. And it kind of felt like the perfect setting, especially for someone young and eager to find herself, because she grew up in a very restricted environment, and for her, America wasn't just a destination. She literally steps into a world where freedom is loud, temptations are real, and discovery comes at a cost. And that is the kind of environment that can shape and permanently change one's identity. And at the end of the day, I chose it because every transformation begins in a place that challenges you and challenges everything about you and everything that you thought you knew. But at the same time, I also wanted the readers to feel that exhilaration that comes from this because it contains uncertainty as well as infinite possibilities.
So true. So, your characters feel incredibly real and layered. Which character surprised you the most while writing?
I would have to say that would be George. Hope's father was the one who surprised me the most. When I started writing, I thought I understood him. I just thought that he was strict, controlling, emotionally distant. But the more I explored his character, the more I realized that he was carrying around a lot of old wounds of his own. And he wasn't just the father who was trying to protect his daughter. He was also a man who was terrified of losing the one thing he did right, so to speak. So, and as a result, his love comes out as fear, and fear comes out as control.
Hmm.
And basically, anytime a situation like this arises, I think this control comes out of a deep, very deep insecurity.
Yeah.
So he taught me that although he frustrated me to no end as I was writing it, but I also realized that he was also hurting a lot. And also kind of made me understand that not a single person is actually ever simple. Everybody is has their own backstory, something across that they have to bear, and those unseen internal battles and struggles will be defining and shaping their choices just as much as their love does.
Okay. Basically, the book explores longing, identity, and belonging. What part of Hope's emotional journey do you think readers connect with the most?
I would say that the most important factor would be her longing to be understood.
Hmm.
Uh, she wasn't searching for love, it just happened, but she was searching for a place where she can just belong and she could be who she really was without having to apologize for it. At 18, she was very young, but she was also emotionally carrying so much more. And her journey mirrors something that I think we can all relate to and experience is that is that unique, weird age when you outgrow your old life, but your new life hasn't completely taken shape yet. So she wanted her freedom, her um, ability to make choices of her own. And I would say that that's probably something everyone can really easily relate to.
Yeah, they definitely can relate to that in so many ways because we all strive, want something like that, right?
Exactly. And she was, we've all been there where you just feel like your world is just too small for the dreams you're carrying.
Yeah,
And I think that I think that hope embodies that universal ache and desire to be seen. And her journey kind of reminds us of the fact that once your heart begins to grow, it will never again fit inside the box that it used to live in. But you have to also be brave enough to seek it out. Otherwise, you may miss out on your chance.
right. And if you miss out on that chance, oh
I
my,
mean, yep,
there's only one shot sometimes, and you got to go for it.
yep, absolutely.
And that's the part of that journey. The story is filled with tension, choices, and emotional turns. Where were the moments that challenged you while writing this?
Oh boy, absolutely yes. See, I didn't just want to write for the sake of drama. I wanted to um, write something very authentic. And there were a lot of scenes where it grew emotionally very heavy. And I found myself sitting in the real discomfort that was very real, raw human emotion about confusions, longing, betrayal, unexpected affection, even heartbreak, and none of these emotions have easy answers. So I found myself pausing several times. Actually, I had to step back and take a pause and take a brief break until I regrouped because the emotional weight was just too heavy. But having allowing myself to sit in that discomfort of this real raw emotion, I think allows the characters to speak their true authentic self. And it's and I think that that's the whole point. I wanted to be honest and authentic about it. So because I mean, honestly, let's face it, what I've come to also learn is that sometimes these heartbreaks can heal you. One thing I learned as I was writing it, that we all had our heart broken at some point or other
Right.
in our lives, but this writing this story and going through all those emotions actually helped me, I think, to heal those parts of myself as well.
You see that it's writing it gives you a healing, a process of healing. I can
Yes.
imagine taking my story and different things and putting them down on paper and say, okay, here we go. You're bringing this raw, authentic story, and it's not about you, but it is about you because it's hope is not you, but hope parts of hope is you,
Yeah.
right? And so you're remembering a lot of those challenges when you first came to the United
Yeah.
States that hope has, and it really makes you reflect. And sometimes when we look back at certain challenges in our lives, it can make us emotional, can it?
It is. Yes. Very, very emotional, and especially, most especially, uncomfortable.
Yes. And it's hard sometimes to be uncomfortable.
I think it always is hard to be
It all
uncomfortable.
depends. I mean, but I think that's our only journey to the next thing is being uncomfortable in certain aspects.
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, if what I also learned in my life, that if everything is smooth sailing, then you're just cruising through life. You're not actually living it.
Right.
Because in many ways, if you don't have any trials and tribulations in your life, then you're not growing as a person, as an individual. So I think sometimes difficult times are necessary for your own personal growth.
And so, would you tell people to get out of their comfort zone if you're going to give them advice?
Yes, absolutely. And anyone who's going to read this book is definitely going to be pushed out of their comfort zone due to um, the whole context of the book.
Mm. But that's something for them. You want to see people do that by
Yeah.
the context of the book to go do this in
Yes.
so many ways. Okay. Travel, culture, new environments shape Hope's experience. How did writing those scenes, influence your view of that time period?
It was kind of fun for me to write this because I had a chance to see everything through her eyes all over again.
Hmm.
And it was,
And yeah, I think about this. So you came in about the 80s then too to the United States.
yes,
Okay. And that's when it's still an Eastern Bloc country, right? Hungary
yes,
at
it
that
was.
point,
Yes,
before the whole wall and changes
yes.
in Eastern Europe from communism to back to a semi-capitalism. So you came, it was a definitely different world.
Oh, yeah. I mean, literally night and day. Um, I mean, yes. When I came here, the Iron Wall still stood.
Yeah.
It was a few years. It was in '89 when Reagan decided that let's tear down this wall.
Right. And it all happened at once, but you were already there. I mean, that's the other part is how difficult was it even for you to get to the United States? For you yourself, not Hope. How tough was it?
Very, very tough because I came by myself.
And a lot of Eastern Bloc countries didn't want people to go to migrate to the United States, right?
No, no. In fact, and that's something that I actually did incorporate into the novel. Um, like I said, some real life inspiration is definitely a part of it, but I also made a point of mentioning that way back when in Hungary, not only did they not encourage, they downright discourage westward travel. They had two passports, a red one and a blue one. The red one was designated and was very easy to come by. They were throwing it at the people, but no one wanted it because that was only good for eastward travel, either towards the east or to other countries with communist affiliation.
Right.
If you wanted to get the blue passport, which was for westward travel, that was something you had to wait sometimes years for to get. And it was just plain and simply extremely difficult to get to begin with. So, yes, I do very painfully, very keenly remember a lot of the things that were transpiring then.
All right. So I'm watching The Americans right now, binge watching it a second time with my fiance. So it brings it back to the specific times. And I forgot some of it watching it X amount of years ago, binge watching it maybe 8, 9 years ago. When I think about ultimately this situation, when you see people want to go to a more socialistic, communist regime in the United States. What advice do you give people saying, do you want to go to that level where you didn't have certain things in Hungary? There's a lot of more control. You didn't have freedoms. What if we would go that direction here in the United States?
I think that after about a year, every one of those people would be running back here crying, and would take back everything bad they've ever said about the United States.
Right.
Because and that's usually anytime I hear somebody whining or somebody basically saying anything bad about the United States. Um, as an immigrant myself, I take it quite personally, and I because I have chosen this country to be my home. I
Yeah.
wasn't lucky enough to be born here. I chose it as my home with very good reasons. And anyone who uh, speaks down on it or bashes it, my advice to them would be, okay, you know what? You prefer that form of government, that form of life? Great.
Go
Go over there.
experience it.
Go over there for 5 years. If you survive, and you want to come back, then let's talk.
Exactly. I mean, so this is where we need to have more education and study. Uh, every communist regime has always failed, has
Yeah.
cost everything. Now, I'm not saying I can't go, I don't study socialism as much as communism, two different aspects in so many ways, but communism thought process of taking away certain things, it's unreal. And you see it in other countries that kept having communism after a lot of the Eastern Bloc countries left. But that's the rude awakening. When you first got here, and then I'll get back to your book, but I'm sure it's part of the book in a way in hopes. People buy the author, Susana. So remember that. They don't buy the book as much as the author and the interest of that author that intrigues them to crack open that book. That's the mistake
Mhm.
people don't understand. It's
Yeah.
not just your great writing. It has to be that they love the author too, because there's so many books out there. That's me as a marketer telling you
Mhm.
that advice. It's all about you and your story, which is intriguing the heck out of me. The more you're feeding me into this, right? Because that's what intrigues me is you coming here, you having to go through all this, but you were probably just shocked to see how easy it was to get things right, and how it's simple. The ways. What were you just blown away by once you got to the United States?
Pretty much everything. Um, I was very young at the time, so I was in a culture shock, to be truly and fully honest, because everything that I have grown up with, um, I was seeing here the exact opposite of.
Wow.
So it was quite. But then again, like I said, I was very young, very resourceful, very resilient. So I basically just went with it. And you know, as some would say, you know, if God gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I did.
And it seems definitely exciting. And I'm sure hope. How much of hope is you?
That's a good question. Uh, um, I'm pretty sure quite a bit, because again, I've I've tried to be authentic. So obviously, a lot of my personal experiences have been included, but I also pulled in other people. There is a person, I think I can probably say that there probably is a person behind every character that inspired it, but only to a certain degree.
Okay. All right. But that's the way you do it, because having characters and developing other characters to even make it even more exciting is the fun thing as a writer. Yeah, maybe
Exactly.
it wasn't that as exciting me doing it, but now adding a lot of other components, then you have a great book.
Yeah, I
It's
would like to think so.
yeah, okay. So you balance romance, conflict, and family beautifully. What do you hope readers understand about love from this story?
Well, I hope that they can understand that, because I most certainly learned it, that how deeply any particular place can shape a person's identity.
Yeah.
For her, America wasn't just a new country, it was an entirely new version of herself that she was basically ready or wanting to be exploring. The 1980s was basically, it held both freedom as well as danger. It was a time when really cultures clashed, opportunities exploded. People were learning who they were outside of what the expectations that they grew up with, and seeing everything through her eyes made me appreciate the bravery that it takes to step into the unknown. It definitely takes a lot of guts, and not everybody has the courage to leave home or to
No.
face themselves in a new world. And that's when I kind of understood that sometimes a new place doesn't change. And this was a very stark realization. Sometimes, um, it doesn't change. Stepping into a new world doesn't change who you are.
No,
It reveals who you were always,
gonna be.
who you were always. Who, nah, can't even speak English now. Who it reveals who you were meant to be, or who you have always been, but you didn't know. So it was good. It basically, I think, shows that the world is a teacher disguised as an adventure.
Yeah, it so is, and in so many ways. And if you don't do that, then you miss out on so many things in life.
Yep.
That's all I'd say. So, and I think that you look at that in so many ways. So, what has been the most rewarding part of bringing this book to life?
Oh, well, since it's been with me for so many years, finally get the whole story down on paper. That was definitely a huge, just being able to. It was a huge accomplishment just to get it all in writing and get it on paper. But all joking aside, I would say that most authors, or at least I am, we strive to be authentic, which is a lot harder to achieve than most people would think. And I would say that the greatest reward would be if I know that my story touched somebody else's life. And I'm hoping that whoever picks up the book will think the same, and it will find the people who really need to hear it the
Right.
most.
And I think the people that, especially to get this out to immigration lawyers as well, who are coming to the United States to that share that story, so they understand exactly what
Hmm.
the opportunity is to come here from all the countries in the world that come here. So I
Yep.
think that's so powerful. If you could share one message with readers, listeners, and the millions who will discover your book, what would it be and why?
Um, in one word, I would say courage. Um,
Mm,
the message I think I'm hoping that everybody gets from the book is that your heart knows the way. Your longings, your desires, quiet desires, your dreamings, they are not random, and they are all pointing you towards a life that was really meant for you. Her
yeah.
journey, I think, shows that life can be loud with expectations, pressure, fear, and other people's judgmental opinions. But that little whisper inside of you, that is your true guide. That's your compass. And I would say that basically you have to have courage even when the world doesn't understand it yet, when people are trying to talk you out of it, because courage isn't dramatic. It's the quiet moments when you recognize and then respect where your heart is longing to go to. Like Mark Twain wrote in 1894. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not the absence of fear.
Okay. All right. Best place people can find your book. Where can they go?
Well, they can find it on Amazon or iUniverse, but I would recommend people, Amazon is probably a more reliable, best place to find it.
All right. Fantastic. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. All right.